So today I will be demonstrating how to use Illustrator, and this will be one video out of a series of other videos, but today I will just be talking about just the overall general overview of Illustrator and what tools I normally use for graphic assets and other icons and such. So yeah, it's really pretty simple, but obviously there are some things that require practice, so let's get to it. Here, I'm just showing you how I would normally um, organize my files. So I would have the assets with like the logos if needed. I'm showing you the landing page process. So this was the first landing page Illustrator file, and it really just explored a lot of different compositions, but using the same icons, the same graphics. And then here is the final illustration of it, the layout, sorry. And then this is the final illustration. So today I'll be showing you different things, but first I have Illustrator open. So I'm going to do Command N, or I think it's Control N on a Windows computer, so it opens up a new document. So I wanted to talk about the difference between pixels and inches because I know that it was brought up. I prefer to use inches because I work a lot in print design and layout design. Not really so much for web design, but I'm learning, as all of us are. So I work in inches, but pixels is for, web viewing and screen viewing for screens. So right now I have my document set up like a regular document that like you would see on your screen. So we know that RGB is for screen viewing and for websites, while CMYK is for print. And here we have the raster effects, which there are high, medium, and screen. The high is 300 ppi, so that's pixels per inch. Obviously, you get the best quality with high. Medium is 150 ppi, and screen is 72 ppi. And then here we have the orientation, we have the artboards, but you can add artboards later as you're working in your document. We're not going to focus on bleed right now because that is if we're printing things, and I don't think we'll be printing things anytime soon. Everything is starting to be online. So let's go to more settings. And here, if you click under profile, you'll see that there's print, web, and all these other options. So you go to print, you'll see that the units are the standard is points, but you could also change it to inches if you'd like. But you see here that the color mode is CMYK, whereas the raster effect is 300 ppi. So then if you go to web, you'll see that it's in pixels, and you'll see that the color mode is in RGB, and the screen default setting is the raster effect setting is screen 72 ppi. So, I will just stick with print right now just to show you like real quick. Um, this is what I normally would work in. So, this is your document, your workspace setup. You can obviously go here to Window, and you can go to Workspace and set up however you would like. I prefer Essentials Classic, but there's Essentials, and then there's Automation. I just think Essentials Classic, it looks a lot better, but that's your preference. So I'm going to do Command R, and that brings up the rulers. And I think it's Control R, if I'm not mistaken, for Windows, but on Mac it's Command R. So every time I start a, oop, didn't mean to do that. every time I start a new project, I want to set up my margins because I want things to be balanced and, don't want everything to be so close to the edges. So I manually do my margins with a rectangle or, a square. So you don't want your margins to be less than 0.5 inches or however that converts to pixels, but you want your margins to be equal. So you could do even like 1 inch, but don't go below 0.5 inches. So I'm over here. Oh, sorry, I didn't like explain what I just did. Okay, so I selected this rectangle, right? And I went here to the align section. Um, I have it right now to align to artboard, which this whole white space here, this is your artboard. So instead of manually dragging your anchor point to the corner, you can just easily move it with the align tool and it'll move for your, wherever you want it to go without having to do more like work that, unnecessary work. So I'm dragging my guidelines from the ruler. So I'm selecting it and then I'm dragging it so that it touches the rectangle. And then I'll just move it again so it goes to the right corner. And I'm dragging my guideline again. And then I'm going up. So, and usually I have a lot of guidelines in my Illustrator files, um, which is, it gets kind of crazy sometimes. So sometimes I'll delete them, but for the most part, I want to keep these guidelines. Like these margins are just really important. So if you go to view and you go to guides, you can unlock the guides and then you can move it. But I like to keep it locked. So I'm going to lock that again. And if you go to guides, if you do this hotkey right here, it can hide it or, show it up here and it hides it. Or you can clear the guides, but we want those guides up there. Okay, so also if you like to work with a grid, um, I like it. I just think it's kind of busy sometimes and I could kind of do without it, but let's say if you're doing like a simple graphic, you don't really need these guides, these grids, but if you're going to do much more complex layouts, maybe you should switch to grids. But for now, I'm just going to hide it. And there was another thing. Oh, make sure that your smart guides are always on. If they're not on, it's just like really frustrating and things don't snap, things don't align as they should. And yeah, just make sure you always have your smart guides on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, like a smart guide is basically, you see that pink line right there? That's a smart guide. Where it says center, that's a smart guide. So yeah. Okay, so we have our margins and I'm just gonna show like which tools I use the most. So I use selection tool, obviously. Direct selection tool, I'll show what that is. Um, I use the pen tool the most. Type tool, I use it, but if I'm going to be, let's say, writing a paragraph or like a really large amount of text, I don't want to do it on Illustrator. Illustrator is simply for laying out, and also, it's called Illustrator for a reason, like because, it's for drawing and such, but text, it's not bad here, it's just not my preference to use text on Illustrator. I would use InDesign for that, and maybe I'll do a demo on like typography and like the basics of typesetting and avoiding what you should avoid and what is good, what is bad, etc. But that'll have to be for another time. The line segment, that's pretty self-explanatory. Then you have like other options. If you press down on a tool, you can see that there's way more other options. The rectangle tool or like like this shape tool, and the paintbrush tool. Although I would refrain from using this because if you wanted, I mean, I have a Wacom tablet, and so it's easy for me to draw with this, but on like a mouse pad or like a regular mouse, it's kind of hard to draw with it. And also, if you want to examine this, it has a bunch of anchor points. And I forgot to mention the most important aspect of Illustrator is that it's vector. So that means if you zoom in, it will not pixelate or rasterize, and all of these points are based on math, which is great for accuracy and consistency. Whereas if you go on Photoshop, when you zoom in, everything gets pixelated. So that is just like the basics of it. Here you have your color swatches, although I believe you can find like a Pantone colors somewhere. Oop, color books, and then you can look at the Pantone colors. I know, like in some of my classes, they've requested that we use these Pantone colors instead of these. I believe it's because of since we were printing, before COVID happened and we were able to go into the studios and stuff, we were able to print things. Pantone is just, I guess, more accurate, but I'm really not sure. The I'm not quite sure why the preference for Pantone versus these, but I know Koi and I use this simple color swatch, or I will attach a graphic design document that I made that has a bunch of like a list of resources, and you can look up color swatches on some of those. Okay, so I will show first, I'll show like a basic square. I'm pressing shift as I draw this square so that it's even on all sides. However, if I don't press shift, it'll look like, freeform. And yeah, okay, so I'll show you how. I'm just gonna color these real quick. Oh my god, that yellow is blinding. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the Pathfinder tool, which is also really important that I use. So if you go to Window and you go to Pathfinder, it'll pop up, although I have mine here already. Oh wait, I thought I did. Okay, apparently I don't. So Window, Pathfinder, and you'll see that there's Align and Transform. So with the Pathfinder here, I'll use these two squares for an example. You have different modes that you can play with these shapes. So this one in like unites the shapes as if you hover, you'll see what the options do, what the modes do. If you do minus front, then it takes away the red square and it makes that uh, L looking shape. If you intersect, it only keeps this middle part, and then if you exclude, it removes this middle part. I've literally never used these other Pathfinder options. I I literally have never used them. But if you want to play around with them, I know I do. I have to do that sometimes because I forget like which ones do which. Um, but yeah. So then we'll move to Align, and if you already saw like in the first um few minutes of me setting up these margins, um if you now we're going to look up how to align to selection. So your selection, you've selected these two squares. So now if you want to shift it to the right, shift it to the left, shift it to the center. Here, I'll make this smaller so you can actually see like what it does. But I'm pretty sure InDesign also has this option. So you have the option to like, I mean, you don't have to manually do it because I remember when I first started Illustrator, I would literally manually move my grid guideline to the center of the shape, and then I would move the anchor point so that it aligns with the guideline, which that is just a big waste of time. And you definitely just want to like do things kind of fast. Um, but yeah, so then you can align it like wherever you would want it to be and like play around with it. But I'm pretty sure InDesign has this as well. So I don't know why this is here, but we can like look, we can, you know, make it intersect or overlap. Um, and it's the same thing here as in InDesign. You can object arrange send to back or object arrange send bring to front. Um, but yeah, that is the shape tool. Again, the blob paintbrush tool or the paintbrush tool is oop, I have a pattern selected, so I don't want the pattern. I want like you know like a smoother, rounder brush. So if you click on the bracket, it increases the size of the brush, the bracket key on your keyboard, and then you'll see that it increases. But then if you select the left bracket key, it decreases the size. Um, Here is the artboard tool. So you can select the number of artboards that you want in when you're first setting up your document, but you could also do it here with the artboard tool. So you can select, add a new artboard, and you can also name them. But then, mind you, when you export this, you would have to like specify which artboard you want, or if you want all of them. But see how this one is named this, and then like this one is artboard 2. You can customize it however you would like. But that is, I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory. And the reason you need artboards is because when you export, you want everything to be, the way that you designed it. So let's say, I should pull up, I will pull up the landing page actually to show you. I had a brain fart and I forgot what I was talking about, but okay, so the reason why you need artboards is because you want your design to be laid out and you want it to be exported how you designed it. So if, let's say, I'm going to select, I'm going to show you this really big file, but as you can see, there's like a lot of grid lines and it's really disorganized, but, or just really chaotic actually because of the grid lines. But, so I'm going to go here to File, Export, Export As. And let's say I don't select the artboards and I'm going to export as a JPEG. Now I'm just going to name these demo. So I'm going to export it as RGB maximum and the resolution is 300 ppi. That's how I normally export it. So I'm going to go, whoa, that is a big file then. Okay, so I'm going to go to my landing page here, my exports. Where did I? Okay, so here, this is when you don't select the artboards checkbox, use artboards. It basically takes kind of like a screen capture of your entire workspace, and it just doesn't work like this. I mean, literally, this is not how I designed it, so I want it to look like how I designed it, right? I'm gonna do now is I'm going to go back to File, Export, Export As. I'm going to click on Use Artboards, JPEG, and I forgot last time to go to my exports folder because I don't want, and I want everything to be organized. It can get pretty chaotic if I don't keep it organized. So I go to Demo, and you can either click all or your range. So let's say you want to do 2 to 4, or if you just want to do all. But so we will just do like a range because I don't want to export all of it. So if you go to export, again, RGB, okay, and wow, okay, wow, I have a lot of files. So if you go to export and you go to demo, you see that it captures the artboard number 2, which is this one, and it keeps it in like within the bounds, like within the artboard, which is this one. So that is why you would click use artboards. It's been like a learning curve, or just, try to remember that. Um, let's see. So I'm going to show you now how I would organize my layers. So, I work with Koi a lot because I'm doing the illustrator side while he is the animator. So, in order to optimize like the file organization to ease the transition from like Adobe Illustrator to Adobe After Effects, I would have to put all these icons, all of these assets on in layers so that it's easier for him to navigate. So what I want to do is I'll lock this, but I'll rename it background, right? So then this is a group, but depending on however Koi wants to animate this, I'm going to ungroup this just for, like so he could have creative freedom and such. My bad. Okay, so it's background, right? Let me create a new layer and I'll call this one background. My bad. So this is a new layer. You either click this plus button or you do Command L or Control L. So this is background and I'm gonna move this into this layer. So now if I click on the visibility, you'll see that this is where it needs to be. So I'm gonna lock it. So I am grouping these for now, or yeah, you know what? I will just group these. So what I'll do is Command L, and let's start with this one. So I'll do like a checklist kind of thing. Command L, a finger, Command L, cap, and then a light bulb, Command L, books, and then apple, and then a ribbon. So I want to name it accordingly. So what I'll do is I will put the checklist where it needs to go, and you'll see that if I toggle over or if I click over the visibility, you'll see that this is where it needs to be. So the finger now, I'll get that. You see this, like this double circle, it means that this is selected. And it helps. I mean, it's a pretty good feature because then it's like, oh, like where is my asset? Like where am I supposed to look? Um, then the graduation cap, light bulb, it's right there. And then the books, the apple, and then the ribbon. Okay, so everything is where it needs to be, and I'm gonna save it. So then now we have this flamingo, and I will create a new layer, and I'll name it flamingo, but I'll put it right here, actually. I'll drag it right there, and then the flamingo is right there. So it's a different color now. And now that I believe this is all we have left is this tablet. I will ungroup this, and this will be I'll group this actually. Oop. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, so when I was grouping, I neglected that the there was a circle, an ellipse. Okay, so the flamingo is good. I'm gonna lock the flamingo so that I don't um, select it anymore, because then it could get pretty confusing. So I'm going to select all of these lines and circles. You could do it from the layer panel. I just like to make my life harder, and I'm going to individually select everything. Okay, so I'm gonna group that, and I will name this network something. I don't know, but it makes sense. Now I'm gonna move it. Oh wait, gosh, layer. My bad. Network. Now I'm gonna move it, and it's gonna be up here. Now this, I will name it tablet, and pretty much, I mean, this is the tablet, so group it, and now it's where it needs to be. So now we have this text here, which, I mean, Koi could always put it on After Effects, but just for the sake of this demo, I'll put it here. I'll arrange the layers how they need to be. Oh, and then I will show you one other trick that um, Illustrator has. I'm pretty sure InDesign also has it. So I forgot to name it. Okay, so layer UF logo. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we have everything in layers, which is really good because now Koi could work on it. So what I wanted to show was that this can be, so text, so here you can like change the text, but let's say that your client doesn't have the typeface installed on their computer and there's no way that they could get it on Adobe Typekit and such. So what you want to do is you can go to type, you can go to create outlines, and it makes it into a shape so that when you take this or send it to your client, they don't have a problem um, opening up the file or any broken typefaces or a broken file essentially. So you can tell that this is a shape now because you can move it however you would like, but don't mess with the logo as I've been told. Um, but yeah, so this is how I would normally organize an Illustrator file. This is my second time recording the pen tool demo. My first time was kind of rough, but it's because it's kind of easier done than said, which is really weird to say because it's usually like easier said than done. But this case, I'm going to try my best to explain how to use it because I feel like for me, I've just used it so much that I've learned how to deal with the little the tricks here and there and like how I would use it essentially. But if you want to think of it kind of like a trace or connect the dots kind of thing, then that would probably be a simpler explanation. Um, so I have this pen tool exercise here, which I will put it on the Teams channel, and this one is pretty good. I used it for one of my classes, and it just shows like where you should put your where you should put your pen tool and then how you should drag it and such. So this one is pretty easy. It's a straight line. So you would just like follow the numbers, click here. I made the same mistake in my last one I don't want to fill because I want to see where my lines are going. So here, and that O, oop, well, okay, so that is like what I just did. I just removed an anchor point, but now I'm going to add it back again. Oh, God, crap. I'm gonna add it back again. So I get my direct selection tool. I click on this anchor point and I drag it back to where it belongs. So that's pretty good. Now for this one, I press shift and then oh my gosh, like why? I don't get like this circle here. Drag to here, release. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, I am dumb. Now, okay, sorry. It's been a while since I did one of these exercises. So hold your mouse and drag the pen tool here while clicking shift. Next, you want to go to number 3, click shift again, and then adjust it how you would, like so it lines up with, so it's like curvilinear. And then go to number 4, you see where it should line up. Now go to number 5 and click shift again, make it curvilinear, and go to number 6, release it. Now go to number 7. Now you're gonna release it right there. Now number 2, there, perfect circle. Oh, okay, that was actually pretty cool. um, so now for this one, you're gonna drag it here, release it, go to number 3, click shift, and then now release it. Now you're gonna go here to number 5, go to number 6, release it, number 7, shift. Make sure you're clicking shift for this because if you don't, I mean, you could always just like YOLO it, but shift. Did I just say YOLO? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Um, yeah, shift is a lot easier because then it locks the line or the segment that you're trying to draw. Now, what I wanted to show was um, you know, something. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna do it kind of differently. So here I will draw it like so. Now you see how this it's trying to continue, but it doesn't really like line up with how you're trying to do things. So what you want to do, like this obviously is not going to work because like that just doesn't look correct. So you're going to click on this anchor point again and you see like that pointy shape. If you click on it again, it kind of resets the line. I think that's like as best as I can explain it, but it kind of resets it. So now you're able to draw it however you would like it. Um, and that's just like one way to go about it. Like there's different ways to draw the line or to draw a curvilinear line. You could do it how I did it here by clicking and then pressing down and then dragging up to here, or you could just kind of do it like how I did it here. It was kind of sketchy, but it works. I mean, that's how I've been using it. But whatever is your preference, however you would like to conduct this. Um, Now you drag here, go to number 3, click shift, and then drag to number 4. Um, Hold down what hold option. Yeah, so essentially, I mean, they did what I just showed actually. Another way you could do it is like you could literally just click shift, make it into like a diagonal line, click shift, and then make it so that there is an anchor point in the center, whereas this one, there is no anchor point in the center. Um, Again, there's so many different ways you can go about creating your assets, but it's really just like however you want to conduct it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't want to say like there is no uh one way. There's no one way to do it. But the only thing that you really shouldn't do is like something. Okay, wait. So what you don't want to do is like, I don't know. You don't want like unless you're going for a wacky shape, you don't want your anchor. So like you see this line right here that I am literally going crazy on, like you don't want it to intersect with your other segment. Um and you see like it just doesn't work. It's like what's going on? Unless you are trying to go for something really abstract or whatever, or like a irregular form, you don't want your handles to intersect whatsoever, like so. Here, I just remember one of my teachers telling us this, like, don't do it like this literally is so sloppy. But, again, whatever you're doing, but, just, for, for the sake of keeping things simple, keeping the style, the illustrative style cohesive throughout your document or like the LM video or the Microsoft video. I would keep things simple as possible. So again, drag here, then you're gonna go to number 3, click shift, drag to number 4, and then you have a perfectly curvilinear shape line. Now click shift and then hold that. Oops, nope, sorry. Now, now click shift, go here. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, you know what? I am not perfect, but I've just learned different techniques of doing things, and sometimes it works out for the best. Other times it's like, what is going on? But that looks kind of okay. So another thing I want to say you could do is like, so like let's say you're doing like this weird shape and like you don't want to do the other side manually. You could do edit, copy, edit, paste in place, object, transform, reflect, vertical, and then you kind of just like move it so that it's the same shape essentially, the same line. Now you could also do the same thing here, copy, paste in place. This is just another way of making a shape. Um, and yeah, that's just like another way to do something. But yeah, so I will put this on um, the Teams channel where we have the workshops because I think this is a really good exercise to do. There's probably hundreds more out there, but this is the one I remember doing in my illustration class. So, um, yeah, this one is actually pretty good. Um, my laptop is heating up really badly. So you just trace it and see how you would do it. Oh my gosh, I don't want the white background. None. And really, I just downloaded these off of like a someone's Google Drive, so like, it's pretty accessible. Um, so yeah, this is the pen tool. And another thing is if you wanted to add an anchor point, you could do so by putting it on the line that you just made. And the point of that is like, let's say you wanted to move it, shift it like this. You wanted to round the edges. I don't even know. But if you want to do something funky with the typeface or like a funky with the shape, then you could do that. Um, but yeah, so and then if you wanted to delete an anchor point, I'm going to select this one right here and you'll see what it does. It like removes it, and there you have like another kind of different shape. Um, but yeah, so that is pretty much my demo right now on Illustrator. I feel like I covered the basics, but if I come up with anything else, I will put it on the Teams chat. So thank you for tuning in.